What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Whew. Can you say technical difficulties? But we're here, right, Damon?
Yeah, we here. We
We
finally.
here. And y'all, it is worth the wait. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you, Damon, for being here. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Chat, everybody. Um, I'm excited about this one. I got my classmate here, Damon McFadden. He's also a housing inspector. This man does a lot of things, but in the realm of real estate, in real estate land, he's the man that's going to put his hands on your property to determine if this bad boy is a lemon or if it's a pot of gold. Damon, I'm going to ask you to take 2 minutes and tell them a little bit about yourself while I share this broadcast across social media.
All right. Hi. My name is Damon McFadden. I'm an owner of Home Nerd Home Inspection Services. I was in the industry for about since about 2018. I started doing home inspections. I got licensed in 2022, so I was working for a guy. So I did all the dirty work, and hey, look, if I can do that for him, I can do it for myself. So then I decided to take tests, get my license, and here I am.
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. So do you, so I want to start out and ask you though, uh why inspecting houses? Why getting dirty, crawling in the crawl spaces, crawling in the attics? Why that, man? Why?
But see, Sue, it was a little adventure at first, actually. So basically, I'm an HVAC technician. For real, I do heating and air, and I was doing that. I used to work for a company. We used to do installs, like new builds, new communities, and stuff like that. So I used to see a guy come out all the time. He'll come out there. He might stay out there for about 3 hours. So one day I just asked him, "Hey man, what you doing?" And he told me, "Hey, say I'm a home inspector." So we got to talking, and after talking with him a little while, he told me he said that he was actually an electrician. So he said, but he asked me, was I interested? And I said, yeah. He said I'd be a good fit because I already have background in the construction trade. He said that's
Hmm.
good. You'll have a smoother transition. And then I thought about it. He also told me, he said, hey, when you in the crawl space for 8 to 10 hours a day, I might.
What?
Yeah, because if you installing new builds or old houses and you putting duct work in there, you might be in there for 8 hours. It depends. 'Cause you gotta take the unit out, and then you gotta put a unit back in, and then you gotta run the lines and all that stuff. That's a lot of work. So me going in and being in the crawl space for 8 to 10 hours, and with home inspection, I might be under there 45 minutes an hour. Depends on the square footage. So I'll take that any day, being under there with the animals and stuff like that. And
Bro, with the animals. Look, I gotta ask you, have you seen any snakes underneath these houses?
yeah, I see snakes and like raccoons and stuff like that. I get out of there. See, according to the standards of practice, we don't have to be in there if we detect animals. A lot of times I see snake skins and stuff hanging. I'll keep going. But if I bump into them, then I'll back out and then I'll just let the homeowner know or the potential homeowner know that they need to call pest control out there. And that basically for my safety.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of times I feel like my glasses are crooked. Excuse me while I straighten them out here. But a lot of times, you home inspectors, you're by yourself, and so I mean, you have to protect your safety because if you get bitten by a snake and you up under a house, it is what it is. You might be going back to the Lord sooner
Yeah,
than you, sooner than you
I lose, right?
thought. Right, right, right. Listen, I wrote down some questions. That I feel like people would want to know. And of course, like I said, I do these coffee chats. It's an informal conversation. So, there's no stress or anything. I do want to say thank you for allowing this podcast to be your first podcast that you've come on. Yay! So excited about that. Um, But yeah, it's nothing formal, just us talking and just, sharing information to the people who are watching either live or on the replay. So, my first question is going to be, I'm going to ask you to spill the tea. What's the weirdest or wildest thing you've ever found on an inspection?
Well, like I was telling you before, I seen the snake skins and it brought up some memories, and they was hanging like chandeliers all across. But I kept going, and I didn't see any snakes. I didn't bump into any, but I know they were there. They was all through the crawl space. And
Ooh.
one particular time, I came out to do a inspection on the new build, and they was like, "Oh, it's ready." And I went in there, so I turned the water on in the homes, just kind of pressurize it and stuff like that. So when I went under the house, all the water was coming under the house. The pipes was there, but it was just laying on the ground. And so I just ran out and cut the waters off and let the home buyers know what was going on.
Okay, so we ain't finna gloss over that. I got two questions. Number one, you went underneath. Let's go back to house number one, house A, house Alpha, because you was military. You're also a veteran, so I love that too. So you're a home inspector and a veteran. You glossed over that, but we're gonna put that out there. I'm a veteran as well, Marine veteran. You're in the
Army,
Navy,
Army,
Army.
that too.
My bad, Army. My daddy was Army. My bad, my bad. Let's go back to House Alpha, number House A, with the snake skins hanging like chandelier. So that means it was more than one snake skin.
Yeah, it was more than one snake skin. It was I
Okay.
honest with
Okay.
you, lost count. I was looking around. I got a little nervous in there, but I said, you know what? I'm halfway here. I don't see nothing. I'm gonna keep going because maybe they was in. I don't know what it was at, but I didn't bump into them, and I got up out of there.
See, now it's so dope to me how God gives everybody, he makes everybody different. He, she, if you call God he, she, or it, makes everybody different to where we do different things and we like different things, because that ain't the one for me. Now let's go to house B, new build. Did I hear you correctly? New build.
Yeah.
I tell everybody to get an inspection, regardless if it's a new build or not. And you just confirm why. You went there, you turn the water on, the water is just running underneath the house because the pipes are not connected. Tell me, what did you think at that moment? I mean, because it's a new build, right? What did you think? No, let me ask you this. Were they not connected because they weren't finished with the plumbing? Or were they not connected because they thought they were finished with the plumbing, but they just didn't do a great job?
I think they just didn't do a great job because they didn't even have the hangers up on the plumbing connection, and you can see where they put the some of the glue on there, but it wasn't really on there like it should have been. You
Wow.
understand? Because like even in the HVAC industry, we have the cement that we put around the pipes and stuff and install them, for the condensate lines and stuff like that. And I'm just assuming they didn't do it, or they fell asleep, or they got off, or anything. I don't know, but it was. I can tell you that. You laugh.
Oh my God. Um, the funny thing about it is that happened to me in one of my homes that I was having done. And so I know it does happen. I don't know if they didn't put the glue in strong enough, or they just didn't put the glue in, or they just forgot about it. But the pipes were not held together, and so a leak was calling was took effect. And so, it's in the ceiling. The pipes are running through the ceiling, and boom, now we got an issue. So it does happen. So, do you recommend getting a home inspection on every home?
Oh yeah, I recommend getting a home inspector on every home. You you got to figure you have a professional third party unbiased, somebody like that doing the work for you. Because when the home inspector comes out, he's working for you, so he don't really have a dog in the fight whether you buy the home or not. He just basically just trying to find out information to give you a reference on whether you want to purchase the home or not. So I think you need to get one, and keep in mind a home inspector is human, so he might miss something every now and then, but you still want to take a chance on getting a home inspector than just having nothing. Just saying, okay, the house looks good, but then the functions on it not really working.
Absolutely. And as a rehabber, someone who loves to buy old houses and fix them up, real estate investor, I used to be like, oh, you don't need an inspection on these houses, these old houses. And I changed my tune for two reasons. And one reason is because if I get a home inspection, right now, I have this formal report from someone who's certified in this industry, who's licensed. And I can go back to the seller and sometimes negotiate a lower price because I'm like, hey, unbeknownst to you, these things are going on in the gut of your house. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to cost me more money to get it fixed. So it's a good negotiation tactic, number one. Number two, it's a good checks and balances for me as a rehabber because with me having your inspection report, right, you're telling me everything that you found wrong. Now, if I bring in a termite person, they should be able to hit some of those same things. And if they're not, then I can go back and say, well, what about this? Or if I'm bringing in my contractor, then I can be like, hey, I want you to walk through and tell me everything that you see wrong. And if they miss things, I got checks and balances. I got the home inspection report. I got the contractor's report. So I do recommend home inspections on any property that you buy for those reasons. Um, what does a standard home inspection typically cover?
A standard home inspection cover pretty much every function of home. So you got the foundation, you got the grading. The grade, that's like the lawn and stuff. You want to make sure that the lawn is not coming towards the home, because if it do and water comes, then you're gonna have puddles. You might have flooding or something like that. You might have it'll start wearing on the foundation. You probably get cracks on the exterior of the home. I look at the windows, roof, chimney, um, doors, flooring, ceiling, uh, electrical, crawl space, attic, plumbing, and definitely the HVAC. That's HVAC got a special place in the heart for me.
So basically, you checking everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Uh,
a lot of pictures too. I take a lot.
wow.
I do that. I take a picture because, again, like I tell you, I'm human. I ain't Superman, and I like to take the picture. So if I encourage the the buyer to read the whole report, watch the pictures, watch the videos, look at the pictures, because if it's something that they see strange, then they can say, "Hey, Damon, why wasn't this on the report? Or what's this? Or what's that?" And then we can go back and correct it, or I can explain what's going on to them.
Okay. I like that you do videos and pictures. That's really updated because I know back in the day it was just straight pictures. Um, Let me say something about this because you're checking everything. I had a home inspection done on the buyer had a home inspection done on one of the properties that I was selling, and I didn't even realize at the time that they inspect chimneys. I was like, wow, because I had to get something fixed on the chimney, and I was like, that's crazy. But um, you get a home inspection report, right? And you see a bunch of things on it. Um, does that well, I shouldn't say a bunch of things. Let's just say you get like a bunch of little small things. Does that mean the house is unsound? Because like, I mean, you got a little chip paint or the floor may not be level because in South Carolina, we have our houses settle. But so the flooring may not be just a little bit level, it may have settled. Does that mean necessarily that the foundation is bad or you shouldn't buy that house?
No, it don't. And I'm gonna go back to you having a lot of things on the report. I learned to just put a lot of things that I see, everything that I see, and it might add up to be a lot. And that's for liability, because you don't want nobody to go back and say, "Hey, you missed this or that." But uh, basically, like standards of practice, some of the things are cosmetic, and some of them are safety or material defects, stuff like that. But I'll just list it, and I basically like to set expectation with the buyer. I like to talk first and tell them, hey, look, I'm going to list a lot of things that I see, if I see a lot of things, and then I want to find out what's important for them, because a lot of I'll say this, and I'm unbiased, but more female buyers, they interested in cosmetics. I'm going. So if they tell me that, I'm going to list it so that they could negotiate or do whatever they're gonna do. That's out my realm, but that's why I do that. So, going back to what you were saying, just because you got a whole lot of stuff on the report, it doesn't mean that the home is bad. So you basically have to set the expectation with the buyer, and a lot of times that's why I like to bring them, because I can take a picture of something and it looks really bad on the picture, but if you in person and I show you what's going on, you be, oh, okay, it wasn't really that bad, and I'll explain to you what I think is a safety defect, anyways.
Thank you. I think that's so important because I think a lot of new buyers who've never undergone the home buying process, sometimes they are afraid of the home inspection reports when they see a bunch of stuff and they're like, oh my God, this house is falling apart. But you can get like a lot of little cosmetic stuff on a new build, and it's just little stuff, that minor stuff that just needs to be fixed. So, what's not included in a home inspection that buyers might think that's included? But what's not included?
Um, well, look, the fence. Uh, you got antennas on the house, stuff like that. And people, a lot of times home inspectors just go above the standard of practice anyways, for the client, because they look at, well, you come and inspect the home, you're supposed to inspect everything, but that's not really in the standard of practice. But
Mm.
things like that, outside accessories, stuff like that.
Oh, so I didn't know that a fence was not included. Wow.
Oh no, we don't have to do it, but we do it anyway. It's just kind of like customary.
Gotcha. Gotcha. How long does an inspection normally take you on a house? And like after you complete an inspection, how soon should the buyer get the report?
It normally takes about, the most it'll take about 3 hours, depending on the square footage. Now, if you got your mini mansion, Susan, it's gonna take me a little while. Yeah, but I'm gonna have your report in that same day. You're gonna get
Okay.
that day out before 24 hours. You're gonna have that report.
Gotcha, gotcha. So should buyers come to this inspection while you're doing it? Should they bring you some ham and cheese sandwiches, some ginger ale? I mean, what?
But look, they can come. I'd rather them come. Uh, but I always get to inspection maybe an hour or 30 minutes ahead of time to assess the property before they get there, because I know they're gonna have questions. I'll try to get the roof and the crawl space out the way if it's one, and then when they come, I can kind of, like I said, set expectation, and then I can show them, what I think defects and stuff like that, and I think that they should, when they do come, they should have a pen and a pad and just a list of concerns, and then we can go over that. And then while they walking the property, if they got any questions, I can answer for them.
Cool. I love that tip because the buyers have already been in the house before you, sometimes, two times or three times before you. And so if they've noted concerns, they should have that written down so that you guys could go over it. I love that tip. That's pretty good. I'm gonna be sharing that from the lender's perspective and sharing that to some realtors. Um, what are the most common red flags you see in homes? So, you go in 10 homes. What are the maybe two, three things that you see in mostly all those homes? Red flags.
Well, the first thing, like I was telling you, when I first get to the house, I observe the property. If the roof's kind of sloping, I look for that. That's a red flag. Again, like I told you, the grade, if the grading going towards the house, that's a red flag, because you don't want flooding. Water stains on the exterior, you have the water stains on the exterior, that's a red flag, because the water settled in the foundation. And anytime you inside the house, you see stains on the ceilings or anything like that, those are big red flags.
Mm,
Oh, I got a tip for you too, Sue. And one other red flag. And again, HVAC is very important, because that's the comfort of your home, and anybody could do it. When you go out, look on the side plate of the HVAC unit. It's going to be a lot of writing. You might take a little time to read it, but if you see anything that says R22, that's an issue, because that refrigerant is obsolete. They don't make it no more. Uh,
mm,
I can tell you stories like when I was doing HVAC. You know, we encountered units like that with R22 unit. So back then, the back then, since they don't make it, it might run you $300 to $500, a pound. So you got to figure,
What for gas?
yeah, for
Ooh.
so you got to figure it takes what 6 to 8 pounds. I'm just giving you a roundabout, for the units to fill. So you do the math on that, and then once you fill it, hey, if it's a leak, it might leak out tomorrow. It might leak out in winter. It might leak out, but you don't know, and that's 3-4 thousand you waste when you could just go ahead and get it repaired. But now let me say this too. Uh, it could probably last you forever because all this stuff are mechanical. But I'm just saying, if you ever have an issue with the R22 unit, it's going to cost you. So you just be prepared to replace it, in the event. And then I guess you can use that as you know a strategy to get a lower price. But
I
I'm just
know that. I
yeah.
know that's right. Oh, it's gonna be some negotiation going on. You can believe that. When should a buyer walk away? If they get a report from you, and it's not so great, when should they walk away? Like what red flags on the report should tell them to just walk away? Either walk away or negotiate
Well, Sue,
something with the seller.
I'll be honest with you. Uh, that's really not my realm to answer, but I'm gonna just give you an answer. Uh, if if the problems cost you too much or you can't afford it to fix the problems, potentially, I'd walk away.
Hmm. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Or if the seller is not willing to repair it,
Not willing to repair. There you go.
yeah, walk away. Or if they're not willing to lower the price, and let you do it, walk away.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Um, are cosmetic issues actually a hint at bigger problems beneath the surface?
Um, that kind of goes back to the one of the questions you asked me before, or the statement I gave. Um, you want to look for stains. Stains is always an indicator for bigger problems because the stain had to get there somehow. So, and if they didn't repair the issue, then you got an issue. So yeah, so you always want to look for stains in the ceiling. That's another tip for you.
Okay. So, what is there any difference in inspecting condos, townhouses, than inspecting a single family dwelling?
No, they all take. I do the same process for all of them, but all of them different sizes and different bills and stuff like that. But I try to go through the same process. Uh, I I kind of every home got a potential defect or deficiencies in it.
Mhm.
Whether it's old. But I kind of prefer new builds if I'm actually inspecting it doing the draws because
Ah.
I could see, from the foundation on up and in the rough and stuff like that. And you sometimes you can potentially catch the problem before it become a problem. So that's why I kind of prefer new builds. But just because you got a new build, don't mean it's a better home. But most times you can either catch the problem or they got advances in the technology in building, so you might get a better home. You understand?
No, I totally get it because so like with the it's so crazy. Yeah, I totally get it because like when I go in and rehab these old houses, if we're stripping out the sheetrock and we're stripping out the plywood on the flooring, now I can bring an inspector in because the guts are exposed. And so it's got like a new bill. So if you're putting in flooring and you bring an inspector in, the inspector can inspect the joist, can inspect if you turn out the walls, they can inspect the 2x4s and make sure everything is equally spaced and put in right and it's supported accurately. So it's at different phases. And then you can also check the wiring, the electrical, make sure it's installed right. And then when you're putting down the plywood, make sure that's level, make sure it's done right. You're putting up the sheetrock. It's crazy. You have an insulation inspection, you have a frame inspection, you have an insulation inspection, you have a drywall. I call it sheetrock inspection. Um, and it is easier if you're rehabbing and gutting all the way to the core like that, or if you're building a new house, and if you bring an inspector in every phase, because then boom, every phase of this build is being checked.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
important. that's important too. I don't mean to get off track, but that's important too. If you building a new home, get your own inspector. Don't just rely on
Yes,
the, don't because the builder gonna the inspector gonna he gonna side with the builder if he come out on every day. But when I did it for a couple clients, I was out there. I didn't go every day, but every phase I went out there to check, and every phase I always found a problem.
absolutely. I do say, yeah, stop. Don't try to save dollars on an inspection, people. Get your own inspector because that inspector is going to do right by you. So you heard it from an inspector. Thank you for that. What are some maintenance tips that you wish every homeowner would follow after they make their purchase?
Well, here we go again. I'm gonna tell you about HVAC, yeah, yeah, heating and air. You wanna have your heating and air service twice a year because you want to have service in winter and beginning of summer because when it's hot and your air go out, you're not getting nobody no time soon. But if you got a service agreement, you're gonna be on the top of the list for that HVAC company, and they could potentially find problems before they arise, like capacitors going out and stuff like that. And you know you want to change your filters like once a month, uh, every 3 months. Just depend on you know your dirt level in there. And if you got pets, I recommend you monitor every month or so like that. You just keep the pet dander and all that stuff down. You want to trim your trees back. You definitely
Mm,
want to do that. People, I know we love shade, but you want to trim your trees back because a lot of times if you got an overhang, the branches that start rubbing on the shingles and it could tear them or leave debris on there and it'll rot and it'll split them. So you want it'll deteriorate your and it won't let the shingles dry like they should. So you definitely want to do that. Trim your trees and your vegetation back. I know a lot of people like to have flowers and all kind of stuff around the foundation, but that ain't good because the flowers, the bushes, they hold moisture, and moisture push back into the foundation, and then you will have problems. You trying to figure out what's going on, or you might have a tree branch that's pushing in your plumbing if you got a slab. Now you really got issues then.
mm.
Yeah, and oh yeah, and you want to check your faucets too on the outside, like after winter time, stuff like that. Make sure they ain't cracked and things like that. Um, you can check your GFC outlets, stuff like that. Those tips like that.
Those are some really good tips. I never even thought about it. But now that we're talking about care of your, probably for most people, your biggest financial investment ever, your home, we're talking about aftercare. Would you recommend that someone gets a home inspection on a yearly basis? Because I know for me, I'm not going up under no house. I'm not going up in the attic. I'm
It,
not going on top of the roof. So would you recommend that as a homeowner, you get an inspection once a year for maintenance?
it's funny you say that. I was going to tell you that before the show was over. That was your tip. You beat me to it. Uh, you always want to get your home inspected once a year. You got to remember, your home is a living organism. It's just like a person. It needs a checkup. So the home inspector gonna come in there. He gonna give you a checkup, and you might find a potential problem. You might have had a leak that you didn't know about. Where if you would have just ride it out and kept the leak, now you got mold issues. Now you got real problems. So it's
Mm.
good to get one check. A lot of people don't want to do it. Figure it's a waste of money, but I would recommend that you get a home inspection at your home, your biggest investment where you got to live. And a lot of times mold can cause you know physical problems, so health problems that is. So you definitely want to get it checked once a year.
That's good advice right there. Uh, tell us what I guess you kind of already gave us one with the snake skins hanging like chandelier. I was gonna say, tell us a horror story or something that will make you laugh or cry when you've gone into a house. Can you think of anything else?
Nothing, just the snakes in the water.
um, so would you recommend like uh someone, I guess, okay. Would you recommend, right, if you find some stuff, and we kind of covered this already, if you found some stuff on the report, do you think that a buyer could go back and say, hey, negotiate the pricing and say, hey, this is some serious stuff, like with the HVAC? Um, to be honest with you, I have 2 units here at the house, and I installed one last year, and then I installed another one this year. But I knew that when I purchased the home, that the units were old and I was going to need to repair them. So I kind of used that as a negotiation tactic to lower the price. Is that something uh, that you would tell the buyer to, hey, take this inspection report and go back to the seller and see if you can get it reduced or get it fixed?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely you definitely can do that.
Okay. All right. I think we pretty much covered everything. I want to see if there are any questions, guys. If you have any questions, drop them right now if you're live with us. If you are not live with us and you're watching this on the replay, you can still drop your questions and Damon will answer them when he's not up underneath a house with snake skins hanging like chandelier. All right. So let's have some fun. Let's try this. Quick round of questions. All right. Uh, you tell me what's scarier, termites or foundation issues?
I'll go with the foundation, Sue. And
Okay.
you want to know why?
Yeah, I do.
But well, the termites, you sometimes you can catch them, they can treat them, and if the wood ain't too bad, you good. But that foundation, it's gonna be some extensive work, and it's gonna be costly. So I take the foundation, the scariest.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because we can kill them termites, right? Okay. All right. Which one? Old pipes or old wiring? Which one is scarier?
I'll take the wiring. I'll take the wiring. The wiring, you got to pick a fire. And nowadays too, I always note that like if the electrical or the wiring is old, I'm definitely going to tell you. But that's not. I don't want to say it's a deal killer, but I mean I definitely let you know because anything could happen. And then not just that. Nowadays we plug up so much electronics, your house might not be able to handle that load. You understand what I'm saying? So you definitely want to, it is a concern. I would at least advise to have an electrician come out if you got old wiring. So
Okay. So old wiring is scarier than old pipes. I agree. Uh, where would you rather get stuck? In an attic or a crawl space?
I take the attic.
Why? Why?
Well, for one, for one, I might can get out through the gable vent if I get stuck in the attic. I ain't got to worry too much about that. Uh, I can come through the ceiling, through the like you say, sheetrock. If you get stuck in that crawl space, you might be in some trouble.
So, have you ever been stuck in either one of those places?
No, but I'm glad you said that. So our standards of practice, we don't actually have to go in the crawl space if it's too low. I think if it's lower than 18 inches, or our body mass, we deem we might get stuck. There's a few older homes that I didn't go in, and I ain't that big, but I didn't go in because you need to be able to turn around. If something get behind me, what I'm gonna do?
Mm.
On the news. We ain't doing that.
No, sir. Safety is paramount. We need you around. I love the name of your company, Home Nerd. That is so dope for an inspection company. How did you come up with that?
It's crazy. So you know, I'll be honest with you. I used to read a lot when I was, I used to read a lot, but and I'll forget the authors and stuff like that. But people like, hey man, you reading all the time, like doing nerdy stuff. So that's where I kind of got that from. I had the idea in my head, a house, that's basic. And I remember back when we grew up, remember the Revenge of the Nerds, how they used to wear the glasses stuff. Now I'm old. I wear glasses, so I kind of put that together. Here we go.
I love it. And because a home inspector really is like a home nerd. You gotta study everything about a house, find out what makes it tick, what makes it sick, you know, and deliver that report. So I think it's ingenious.
Yeah.
Last question. Well, next to the last question. What book are you currently reading, or what book have you read that you would recommend someone to read? It could
Um,
be any. It could be anything.
well, so I'll be honest with you now, since I be moving a lot, I listen probably to a lot of audio books. Uh,
Hmm.
one of them is guy, I think he was in the Obama administration, John Hope Bryant. And
Oh my God, he is amazing.
I listened to him, uh, the memo. I just kind of like started really with that, but I he's that's the book, the memo.
The memo. And then he's got podcasts. John Hope Bryant. I got turned on to him through Charlemagne the God off of the Breakfast Club. He had him on there a few times. John Hope Bryant is the truth. Well, I thought that was going to be the end of my questions, but Miss Jacinta Barr has a question. She said, "Is it harder to inspect houses on a slab compared to those that have a crawl space?" We'll take that question first.
No, it's it's pretty much easier to inspect the house on a slab, um, because a lot of the pipes not exposed, so you really can't get to them. So you only gonna see the pipes that protruding out. Crawl space, uh, again, it depends on what type of crawl space you got. Now, if you got a mansion or something like that, so and you got it encapsulated, then crawl space is good. But it just depends. I would say it's harder to inspect the crawl space because you got to be looking at every square inch and foot all through the crawl space, and it's easy to miss something because your eyes will start moving around.
That is so true. So then I guess, yeah, you answered the second part of the question. Is it more unlikely to miss things, deficiencies on the other? So with the crawl space, because there's so much to see, it is a possibility you could miss something. Great question, Jacinta. Any more questions coming in, guys? Throw those questions in. If you're just tuning in, I am talking with my classmate and fellow veteran. He's an Army veteran. I'm a Marine veteran. I'm not going to hold that against you. I joke. I joke. My dad is Army veteran. He was, and he and I used to go at it all the time. But Damon is the owner of Home Nerd Inspections. Tell him what areas do you service, Damon?
So I'm gonna tell you something. I service anywhere in South Carolina. If you call me, I'm coming.
Hmm.
Anywhere.
Anywhere in South Carolina. And you don't have to buy a home, guys, to get your inspection. As he stated before, he recommends having an inspection on a yearly basis. It's like having a medical checkup. You know, get your house diagnosed. Go take it in and see if it needs surgery, if it's still good to go. How can people connect with you, Damon, find you, learn more about you, or hire you for a project?
Okay, my website, www.homenerds.pro, HOMENERDSPRO.com. They can email me at demon@homenerds.pro.com. My number is 843-356-0156.
Cool beans, guys. You see it on the screen right there, homenerdspro.com. Just in case you didn't get the email or the phone number, you should be able to get it all right there. Damon, any last minute uh, tips or anything you want to say before we end this coffee chat this morning? And you didn't have any coffee or
No,
tea
but
or soda.
I don't drink coffee. I
Oh,
drink water. Uh, uh,
which is good. Which is
yeah,
good.
yeah. But that's it. I don't really drink coffee. I drink hot chocolate if I get cold.
Well, you got any last minute tips or anything you want to say before we end this chat?
Um, Again, like I was saying, I want to stress the issue about the HVAC, and that's partially because I'm a technician. I do have that certification too, but you want to do that because you want to be comfortable in your home, and that's one of the biggest uh, components in your home. You want to make sure that you have that service twice a year. I'm telling you, because you don't want to wait till it break and then you get it serviced, and then they come and fix it, and then got to come back out and fix it. Now you're thinking that they trying to trick you, but really one bad component caused another component to go bad, and now you're thinking that the HVAC tech pulling the wool over your eyes.
Exactly.
You definitely want to do that, and have your house inspected once a year at least. That at
Uh,
least I mean, you go to the doctor at least twice a year, so your house need to go too.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So, guys, I just want to leave you with this. Please go out to loanswithsuham.com, download your free book if you are in the market to buy a home, refinance a home. I would love to be your go to person, your mortgage broker. We have access to over 150 lenders. And I would love to make your dreams come true with either buying or refinancing your home. Either way it goes, thank you for being here today. I want you to go get this book free, download it at loanswithsuham.com. I thank you so much, Damon, for being here. Guys, if you're watching this, go ahead and take a moment to share it. We'll be back next Thursday. Looking to bring more tips here at Coffee Chat. Thanks, Damon. I'm gonna let you go so you can either check out some HVACs or get back in that crawl space.
All right.
You have a fantastic day. Thanks, guys.